Today I'm going to show you this really useful, versatile method for making little crisp tuiles out of virtually any vegetable. Obviously these work really well as a garnish or to serve something delicious on top of, but the thing that I think is cool with these vegetable crisps is they're not just purely decorative, they're a way of adding a flavour and texture that can really work with and enhance your dish. I'm really not into just adding something to a dish that doesn't add to the flavours or experience of eating it just for the sake of making it look pretty. So the reason that I like this, or using the delicate fruit glass that I make, is that they're adding flavour and texture to a dish as well as changing the way that you're gonna interact with it. So I'm always looking for ways to add deliciousness and enhance the experience of eating a dish. And then if you can add visual interest on top of that, then that's a great bonus. And a good example of how I might use things like this is in my carrot charcuterie dish. I've already made a video about how I make this carrot charcuterie and take carrots through the various steps of cooking, smoking, curing, inoculating with koji and culturing, and then finally drying to intensify their flavour and give them this charcuterie-like profile, but still with carrot as a clear, bright flavour at the heart of it. So for that carrot charcuterie dish, I knew I wanted another texture, and I was thinking about how I'd like to present these flavours that I'd worked so hard to develop, and it made sense to me to look to carrot again for the final element of that dish. And making little crisps out of a vegetable is kind of perfect for situations exactly like this. And the technique's really versatile, so you could use it to make sheets and larger vegetable crisps, or use a mould to make intricate little tuiles like I've made here. The technique works best with vegetables with a lower water content, so I particularly like it for things like carrots and beetroot, but you can adapt it to work with most vegetables. The way I do these is based on the technique that they use at Fratzen, and I'm going to take you through my method in detail using carrot as an example, but you could substitute in whatever vegetable you want to work with. So let's go through the technique. First we need to cook our vegetables and avoid introducing any extra moisture at this stage, so I like doing this in the water bath for consistency. I cook my vegetables for 3 hours at 85 degrees, but if you don't have a water bath, then you might want to try a technique like steaming and just let the vegetables air dry a little bit afterwards. Then we need to combine corn flour, isomalt, glucose and salt with the vegetables and puree these and then cook that mixture out. For ease, I do this in the Thermomix because I can have the machine heat and blend simultaneously, but you could just as easily blend the mixture and then cook it through in a pan. Then for my intricate geometric tuiles, I spread the mix into a silicone mould, and if you're doing sheets or tart cases, you could simply spread the mix thin on a silicone mat. And now we need to partially dry our puree into a pliable semi-dry state. You could use a low oven or a dehydrator for this, at 60 degrees for 45 minutes. Once the mix is partly dried and flexible, carefully remove it from the moulds. This can be fiddly if you're using a mould that's as small and intricate as mine. These semi-dried shapes get dipped into warm oil at 90 degrees, and that just gives them a bit of flexibility. So then if you wanted to mould these into cannelloni or into little tart cases, this is the stage to do that at whilst they're still flexible. Then to crisp them up, our vegetable tuiles go into the oven on low at 90 degrees for an hour, and then lastly they go back in the dehydrator just to dry them out absolutely as much as possible. Working at these lower temperatures helps the tuiles to keep their bright natural colour, and you could do this stuff at higher temperatures, but then you do start to lose a bit more of their vibrancy. The finished tuiles are really delicate, so I'm always making more than I need because it's so easy to accidentally break one, particularly when you're working with very small intricate shapes like this. And then here you can see this used on my carrot charcuterie dish that's currently on my tasting menu. The dish is served with a blood orange reduction, and I've done previous videos about how I make these kind of low temperature reductions in the rotovac. And if you found this interesting, you might want to check out that carrot charcuterie video or some of the other videos that I've done on techniques that I use and dishes that I make for my menu. I'll also be making a video soon on how I make the fruit glass that I mentioned earlier, which is a really great technique to add flavour and texture and a really striking visual element to dishes, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please give it a like if you found it interesting, and if you've got any questions you can chat to me in the comments. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.